God's passion is for the virtues of Jesus to appear in our lives. The Bible calls these virtues fruit. Fruit is external to a tree. It is seen by all and available to taste by all. When delicious fruit appears on the end of our branches, it gives evidence of the health inside. But ultimately, the value of fruit is for the benefit of others, who grab hold of the fruit of our lives and taste it. Is it ripe, sweet, and delicious, or is it green and rotten, or possibly even artificial? Paul called these virtues the fruit of the Spirit. The grape was likely the first fruit to come to the mind of the early Christian, who might have hearkened back to the teaching of Jesus about the vine and the branches. Recently, I watched Somm, a documentary about a group of men trying to attain the level of master sommelier, the highest level an expert in wines can achieve. 5 wines were placed in front of the aspiring contestants. They would swirl the glass, immerse their noses completely inside, and take a deep breath. Then they would take a sip, swish the wine in their mouths, and spit it out in a bucket. From this exercise, they were able to declare the region, variety, date, body, and tannins of the wine. I found the description of the flavor to be fascinating. The word most often used was hint. A candidate would say, for example, "This wine has a hint of cinnamon, a hint of oak, a hint of licorice, a hint of blueberry, and a hint of earth." This may be what Paul had in mind when he gave us the famous list of the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5:22 and 23. The virtues of our lives are contained in a glass, so to speak. The neighbor, the wife, or the friend picks up the glass and swirls it, immerses their nose inside and sniffs, and then takes a sip, swishing it around to then declare, "This wine carries hints of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I am also picking up hints of hope and humility." The hint of hope was missing from my life. And a human can't live without hope. This explained my state of depression. Up to this point in my life, I had been living out of a false sense of hope. For me, as many people, I hoped life here would be good and stay consistent, to be translated as no relationship crises, no divorce, no disease, no job loss, money in the bank, and certainly no deaths of anyone I love deeply. While such a hope may hold up for a while, eventually it will disappoint and fail us. God wants to give us a true hope, rising above all earthly matters and seeing us through all our troubles. Clearly, I didn't have this kind of fruit at the end of my branches, and the death of my mother exposed my need. Here's a quite interesting fact I learned through this. You can't grow in the virtue of hope by merely trying to be more hopeful. The same is true of all the other fruit. By golly, I'm going to just be more joyful tomorrow. While it is certainly essential to have a vision for change and growth, it will not come into our lives by simply willing it to be true. Think like Jesus. Beliefs. To find the solution to being like Jesus, I went back to my mentors. I found becoming like Jesus requires we think like Jesus. Accomplishing this is far harder than it might seem. All 3 men said the same thing to me, independent of one another. It is not enough to believe something as the right answer. You must believe it as a way of life. The journey of belief begins in the head, but it must migrate 12 inches south to the heart to make a difference in our lives. Why? Because we live from the heart. We live consistent with the beliefs embraced in our hearts. As he thinks in his heart, so is he. The writer did not say, as he thinks in his mind, but rather, as he thinks in his heart. There is a vast difference. Consider the context for this verse. Do not eat the bread of a miser, nor desire his delicacies. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. The morsel you have eaten, you will vomit up, and waste your pleasant words. Suppose you spend the night at the house of a person you do not know well. Before he leaves in the morning for work,